Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by BASF, where the performance of Veltima fungicide could take your best results even farther. Powered by Soy Biodiesel. On Friday, I'll be at Farm Credit Mid-America in Baltimore, Ohio. And then on Monday, I'll be at the Clark County Fairgrounds for the first check presentation as a part of the Axis Seeds County Fair Tour. Congratulations to Denny Vennercotter. The Ohio Corn and Wheat congratulates Denny of Putnam County on his election to the National Corn Growers Association Board. A fourth-generation farmer, Vennercotter works alongside his three sons, raising corn, soybeans, wheat, and hogs in northwest Ohio. He's widely respected among his peers as a hands-on, experienced, and principled leader who brings deep knowledge of both production agriculture and policy. I've lived the highs and lows of this business, says Vennercotter. I understand the pressures grain farmers are facing, and I'm determined to work hard to build a stronger future for farmers and their families in my new role on the NCGA board. Vennercotter has a long track record of service at the local, state, and national levels. He has served as president of the Ohio Corn and Wheat Growers Association, chairman of the Ohio Corn Checkoff, and was a founding member of the Ohio Corn and Wheat PAC. Tad Nicholson, executive director of Ohio Corn and Wheat, praised Vennercotter's leadership, saying, I've had the pleasure of working alongside Denny for many years. Corn growers across the country will benefit from his passion, experience, and relentless advocacy. He's the kind of leader you want at the table when big decisions are being made. Vennercotter's term will start on October 1st. Today's weather brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
Showers and thunderstorms still working their way through Ohio. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at that Ohio Ag Weather Update. Round 1 of moisture tried to pop up yesterday. Round 2 gets started midday and afternoon today. Showers and thunderstorms encompassing 80 to 90% of the Buckeye State. I think we can easily see a quarter to 1 inch today alone. Now tomorrow we'll focus this energy a little bit farther south, closer to the Ohio River. I'll say the southernmost quarter of Ohio is in line to see an additional tenth to half an inch through the day tomorrow. Northern areas, central areas, I don't think see anything except a sunny and muggy afternoon. Going into the weekend, it's a little bit stormy. We have hit and miss scattered showers and thunderstorms developing Saturday afternoon and evening. Strong storms to our west, maybe not so much in here, but then on Sunday we have our threat of shower and thunderstorm action. It could be a little bit stronger, particularly southern and central parts of the state. So 2 days of on again, off again storms through the weekend. Next week, hot dome tries to break free out of southern United States and move our direction. As it comes in, we may have to deal with a few hit and miss thunderstorms Monday afternoon into early Tuesday, but I look for the rest of next week just to be hot, muggy, but basically precipitation free. I think the atmosphere is going to be hot enough that we're going to have trouble seeing thunderstorm action develop underneath this hot dome. We'll try and see how it evolves as it really gets here, but I'm projecting a very warm, very muggy, very uncomfortable second half of next week. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Let's check in with this update from Brianna Smith.
I'm here with Glenn Arnold. He's the field specialist for manure management with OSU Extension. Glenn, why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the different research and developments in the manure application and storage space?
We've been doing a lot of work at Ohio State and getting manure applied to fields more days of the year, and that's involved a lot of manure application to growing crops. So we'll put it on newly planted corn and soybeans and wheat. We'll put it on emerged corn and wheat. And then we'll use manure in the fall to boost crops that just got planted. So again, it's a chance to get triticale off to a faster start, cereal rye off to a faster start. Things that we can do that we can get manure out more days of the year.
Wheat harvest is nearing completion in the state. There are farmers who are thinking about double cropping those soybeans. Any advice or suggestions for any manure applications for pre-emergence there?
Yeah, some people will put manure down ahead of soybean double crop planting, and that's fine. You just want to make sure you get that manure down below the seed zone of the beans. A lot of other people in recent years have gone to planting the soybeans in the wheat stubble and then doing a surface manure application on top of them. And as long as the beans are protected by the soil, that'll work really, really well. So A lot of guys will put about 6,000 gallons per acre of swine finishing manure and 10 to 12,000 gallons per acre of dairy manure, and it's been pretty successful.
You've got a pretty big event coming up this next week. Will you touch a little bit about that?
We're going to host a North American Manure Expo in Wauseon, Ohio on July 30th and 31st. So it'll be an opportunity to see a lot of very large equipment, hear a lot of good speakers talk about modern manure application. You'll see a lot of new equipment and new technologies, and then it's an opportunity to look at a trade show, a little bit of everything for everybody over that 2-day period of time.
What's the website?
It's www.manureexpo.com.
Thank you, Glenn. Really appreciate your time reporting for Ohio's Country Journal and Ohio AgNet. This is Brianna Smith.
And thanks, Brianna. Let's check in with our weekly update from the Ohio Soybean Council and your checkoff dollars at work. Here's Dusty Sonnenberg.
Joining me today is Susan Watkins. Susan serves as secretary of the United Soybean Board and also chairman of the Demand Action Team. Susan, as we look at creating demand for our products, what are some of the ways USBA is able to help facilitate that?
Well, that's where we decided that we, as USB this year, the farmer leaders decided, we have done a very good job at growing our crops, and we've got a very valuable soybean on the market, but we still have to work and create that demand. So we created a new work group this year of exports. About 60% of our production in the U.S. goes into exports. And so we want to keep building that demand and getting the word out that we do have a great sustainable story along with a very valuable soybean that we can offer other countries.
Again, my guest today is Susan Watkins. Susan, a soybean grower in Virginia, also currently serving as secretary of the United Soybean Board and chair of the Demand Action Team, creating new markets and demand opportunity for U.S. beans. Today's update brought to us by the Ohio Soybean Council and your Soybean Checkoff.
And thanks, Dusty. This Ohio State Fair schedule update brought to you by Farm Credit Mid-America. Let's start off in the Dairy Goat Show. They'll have a 3 p.m. show on July 18th. That's the juniors. And the 19th will be the senior show. It gets underway at 8 a.m. Moving into the alpacas and llamas, the 18th and 19th, they'll be in the Brown Sheep Barn with 8 a.m. starting both days. And on July 18th, the Boar Goat Open Show in O'Neill Swine Barn, and it starts at 9 a.m. For a complete listing of all the show schedules, go to ohiostatefair.com. Average retail prices for most fertilizers continue to be slightly higher during the second week of July, according to sellers surveyed by DTN. However, for the third week in a row, prices for multiple fertilizers were also lower. The average retail price of anhydrous is now 11% higher than it was a year ago. No fertilizer saw a substantial price move in either direction for the fifth week in a row. DTN designates a significant move as anything 5% or more. 6 fertilizers were slightly higher in price from a month ago. Those were DAP, MAP, potash, urea, 1034O, and UAN 32. 2 fertilizers were slightly lower in price than last month, being anhydrous and UAN 28. Brazil Potash has entered a non-binding agreement with Fictor Energia for $200 million in funding for its potash mining project in Brazil, that according to Dow Jones News Service. The Mineral Exploration and Development Company said Monday the funding covers the project's power transmission construction cost. In the agreement, Fictor Energia will undertake development, permitting, construction, and operation of the power transmission infrastructure to supply 300 megawatts per year for the project, according to Brazil Potash. The power transmission infrastructure is expected to be completed and operational by July 2029, according to the company. Back with more after this.
Be aware, ticks are there. As you head outdoors, remember to avoid tall grass, wear light-colored full-coverage clothing, and use EPA-registered repellent. Be sure to thoroughly check for ticks after you head in for the day. If you find any ticks, remove them carefully with tweezers and watch for symptoms such as fever, headache, or rash. For more information on ticks and tick bite prevention, head over to ohio.gov/ticks.
Friday, July 25th is Recovery Ohio's Mental Health Day at the Ohio State Fair. Visit the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, the Department of Insurance, and other state agency booths. Join us on Friday, July 25th for Recovery Ohio's Mental Health Day at the Ohio State Fair. We'll see you there.
Today's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. For marketing information on your beans to LDC, call 574-566-2113. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished mostly higher on Wednesday. On corn, we were up about 4 to 5 cents. Beans were up 17 to 18.5. Bean meal was up slightly. Bean oil up 20 to 25 points. Wheat markets were late to the game, but in Chicago, 2 to 3 higher. Kansas City, fractionally lower, and Minneapolis spring wheat was down a couple of pennies as well. Stories on the day, that was what was kind of interesting yesterday. The macro market got whipsawed by President Trump's Fed comments. Will he not fire Fed Chairman Powell? And so the financial markets were moving all over the place yesterday. When you view it through that lens, honestly, agriculture had a pretty decent day overall. The dollar index has reversed to this week's uptrend as financial media has been dominated by the likelihood of the Federal Reserve chairman being fired soon, or sooner rather than later. Who knows? Monetary policy is in flux. However, weather is not in flux. We've got decent moisture coming. It's going to be spotty, but it is coming over the next 4 to 5 days. We've got chances of showers and thunderstorms over a large part of key crop growing regions in that window. And we also have significant heat coming as well for the eastern Corn Belt. Temperatures actually in the lower to middle 90s from late this week all the way through next. Humidity values high, and we are going to be turning off the spigot on moisture probably next to Tuesday forward. Ethanol production for the week ending July 11th totaled 320 million gallons, up 1 million week on week, down 2% from the same time period a year ago. Ethanol stocks as of last Friday, 992 million gallons, up 2% year on year. Ethanol market seems balanced still, and based on elevated yields, there's probably not any doubt that USDA alters its corn industrial use forecast in the August WASDE. So really not much exciting yesterday, but the market still did bounce. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Almost forgot to tell you about the Ohio Poultry Association unveiling their 2025 Ohio State Fair featured deviled egg flavor. Quick guess. Chocolate chip cookie dough. The featured flavor will make its official debut when the fair opens on Wednesday, July 23rd. In addition to chocolate chip cookie dough deviled eggs, OPA will offer more than a dozen deviled egg flavors at the Devilish Good food stand located inside the Taste of Ohio Pavilion and Beer Garden. Back with your overnight figures after this. Think biodiesel is just another fuel? Think again. Biodiesel is Ohio innovation on the move. Clean, green, and built to keep diesel engines running strong. It's an engine booster, a soybean supporter, and an environmental champion all in one. Every gallon reduces emissions, strengthens Ohio farms, and powers your ride. Drive with purpose. Choose biodiesel. Learn how at soyohio.org.
Let's talk about America. Not taxes or tweets or the issues that divide us, but how incredible our country is. Whether you come home to a crowded city street or sleepy small town, everyone deserves to live in a clean, green, and thriving community. We are Keep America Beautiful, the nonprofit working with millions of people like you to end littering, improve recycling, and beautify communities. Learn more at kab.org. Together, we can do beautiful things.
Today's market's brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Overnight at the open, September corn up 3/4 at $4.06. December up 1/4 cent at $4.24 1/4. March up 1/4 cent at $4.41 1/4. August beans down 1/4 cent at $10.13 1/4. November down 1/2 at $10.20. March down 1/4 cent at $10.50 1/2. September wheat down 1 1/4 at $5.40. December down 1 penny at $5.60 3/4. In livestock, August cattle closed up $1.50 at $223.90. October up $1.47 at $220.75. August lean hogs, $104.42, up 50. October up $1.22 at 88.70. September feeder cattle up $3.47, closing at $325.85. This is the Ohio AgNet.